the reaction within the Knesset, the drinking of champagne and the celebration of this death penalty, I think has sent shockwaves around the world because it is pure barbarism on display. And I have wrote to the European Commission outlining my concerns along with other members of the European Parliament and demanding that the EU use the leverage that it has to ensure that this law is repealed immediately. So I oppose the death penalty no matter where it is introduced, before anybody comes on to say what about other countries that have death penalty laws. But what we have seen in the last few days pass through the Knesset is a death penalty that for the first time since the Second World War, where we have a death penalty that applies only to Palestinians, so based on ethnicity. It's also a death penalty that is applicable under military court systems, which are not transparent, which do not allow fair due process in terms of access to justice, and also that apply to children. And then also the reaction within the Knesset, the drinking of champagne and the celebration of this death penalty, I think has sent shockwaves around the world because it is pure barbarism on display. In regards to the international law aspect of it, I know that the UN expert on human rights has come out and condemned the law and said it is in violation of international law. I would agree, and I have wrote to the European Commission outlining my concerns along with other members of the European Parliament and demanding that the EU use the leverage that it has to ensure that this law is repealed immediately. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we held a press conference from across the political spectrum, so with MEPs from my own political group in the left, but also from Renew, from the Greens and from S&D, calling for the EU to act before the law was passed through the Knesset, and that unfortunately didn't have the effect we wanted. We've also had a similar press conference calling for this issue to be debated in the full Parliament, because unfortunately, as members of the European Parliament, we can't initiate legislation or action. We can just call for the debate, have a resolution, and demand that the European Commission take the action. So we will echo that call that when the Parliament meets in the last week of April, that we will have a resolution. But in the meantime, before that, we have wrote to the European Commission, we have wrote to the member states and have said that this law needs to be repealed, that the suspension of the EU-Israel Association Agreement must happen now. I mean, this is very clearly, if we haven't seen through the genocide in Gaza, a breach of Article 2 of the EU-Israel Association Agreement. And because there has been no action, Israel has now introduced this death penalty law. So, I mean, the more we allow Israel to act with impunity, the more it will act with impunity. So that's what we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks, is demanding that the European Commission stand up for international law and suspend the trading agreement, preferential trading arrangements with the EU and Israel, but also calling for sanctions against some of the more extreme elements of the Benjamin Netanyahu government.